Mount Kilimanjaro, the roof of Africa, the tallest freestanding mountain on Earth. A bucket list hike that would end up being the most spectacular and challenging adventure of my life. In this video, I joined 6 of my mates for the journey of a lifetime, climbing to almost 6,000 meters above sea level and experiencing every emotion along the way. Kilimanjaro isn't just a mountain you can show up to and climb. Tanzanian law states that you must summit with a local guide. Kilimanjaro tourism is the lifeblood of the local community, with thousands of Tanzanian porters and guides heading up the mountain each season. Our group trekked Kili with Zara tours. They were incredible, with accommodation, transport and food all included in their service. We also had a large group of porters and guides to lead us each step of the way. Willibard was our head guide, and with over 100 summits of Kilimanjaro, we knew we were in good hands from day one. After flying into Tanzania and prepping all our gear, we took a bus ride to the start of the Lemosho route, where we would begin our 8-day ascent of Mount Kilimanjaro. Lemosho is one of many routes up Kili, and from what we were told, it would be one of the toughest and most beautiful. We had 8 days to acclimatise and slowly make our way towards Uhuru, the highest point on the mountain. We are at the trailhead of Mount Kilimanjaro Lemosho route, and this is day 1, boys.
Let's go!
Day 1 of 8 on Mount Kilimanjaro. We started our Kili climb in the rainforest at about 2,100 meters above sea level. From our first steps, pole pole was the name of the game, a phrase often repeated by our guides. Translated from Swahili, it simply means slowly, slowly. Rushing Kilimanjaro was not an option. Altitude sickness was a serious concern, and we aimed to acclimatise as best as we could before summiting. Day 1 was only about 6 kilometers, and we arrived at our first campsite feeling absolutely incredible.
Sing the song, you guys back it up, but everyone has a little bit of a dance.
Yeah, hard.
Jambo, Jambo, Jambo Bwana, habari gani, nzuri sana, wageni, wakaribishwa, Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata, tuende pole pole, hakuna matata.
It wasn't until actually arriving at our first camp on day 1 that we realised how incredible our porters really were. They would carry the bulk of our gear up the trail before us and make sure our tents and beddings were set up before we arrived. Once we were settled in, our dinner would be served and the food was incredible.
On the potatoes! Yes!
Well done, well done.
Okay, there usually wouldn't be that many potatoes, but I've got a quick side story to tell you guys before we continue the climb. Let's briefly rewind to the morning of day 1 on our 3-hour bus ride to the start of our Kili hike. Through some brilliant teamwork by the boys, we managed to convince our mate Koei that he actually had to bring his own food up to Mount Kilimanjaro. In reality, Zara Tours provides all the food and the porters carry it up for us. Koei did know this, but we got the guides and the driver involved and somehow convinced him otherwise. We happened to drive past a huge potato farm, and to Koei, this was his saving grace. We stopped off on the side of the road, and luckily the farmers were nice enough to sell us a bag. Koei spent the whole first day hiking with a 10-kilogram bag of potatoes in his backpack, thinking that's all he would have to eat for the whole trek. It wasn't until dinner on night 1 that he realised we had stitched him up.
Oh wow.
Who brought the onion soup?
Onion soup.
Did you bring the onion soup?
Alex, do you want to take some onion soup?
Have I been stitched up? I cannot fucking
I thought you were playing along in the bus.
How are you feeling? Hey, don't worry about it, I'll take him tomorrow.
From that point forward, we were known as Team Spud, and we each vowed to take one of the potatoes with us to the summit.
Everything. Oh my god. Oh yeah, Lucky Boy's dealer.
Oh, good.
People will be fine tonight. We're all paying for it, mate.
Pranks and good chats continued into day 2 as we left the rainforest and entered a whole new environment, the moorlands. As we climbed higher, the landscape would continue to change in dramatic fashion. Vegetation and wildlife would become increasingly sparse, and with each passing day, the temperatures would drop as well.
Oh yeah, that's all, yeah.
We're about 5 hours into our second day, It's been very slow today, Pole, and we've just come into view of our day 2 camp. But today's been pretty cool. Not super far or anything, but absolutely stunning. And we're up in these highlands now, which is just incredible. We're 3,500 meters above sea level right now, which is, yeah, every step I take pretty much is the new record for the highest I've been. And it's kind of surreal being up here. We got our first good look at the summit of Kilimanjaro on the morning of day 3 as the clouds parted for sunrise. Knowing that we would be up there on the roof of Africa in just a few days excited the group, and we were keen to push on for a big third day. Alright, we are getting towards the end of day 3 and we've just crossed over 4,000 meters altitude. It's pretty ridiculous being up here, and then we've got almost 2,000 meters left to go. We've just climbed up into the higher part of the moorlands, and we're in the clouds here, and I think we're only sort of 1 or 2 kilometers away from camp now. As we reached the 3rd camp, our first signs of altitude sickness had started. To help combat this, our guides would start taking us on small acclimatization hikes in the afternoon each day. We've just come up for a quick acclimatization hike at the end of day 3. I'm feeling pretty good. The headaches have started. I'm definitely feeling the altitude.
Occasional shortness of breath and a bit of fatigue, you know. Didn't sleep well last night.
Yeah, feeling it as well. A couple of rough nights of sleep now. Yeah, really feeling the shortness of breath. But, you know, 1 foot in front of the other.
Slight headache, shortness of breath, but feeling good.
To be expected.
Yeah, I mean at this high, you're going to get that, aren't you?
Alright, day 4, we are up and at it. Just left camp, and we've got another 10 kilometers or so. I think the goal today is to climb up to about 4,600 meters above sea level for a bit of acclimatization, and then we're going to descend back down to about 4,000 for camp. Still got a bit of a headache this morning. The altitude's definitely getting to me, but I'm feeling okay for another big day with the boys. Pretty incredible out here. With each passing day, the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro got closer and closer. On day 4, we climbed to 4,600 meters at a place called Lava Tower. It was here that we got our first taste of the brutal cold that Kilimanjaro can throw at you. Everything can change in just a couple hours at this altitude. The weather, fatigue, and altitude sickness can hit you seemingly without notice. Each of us was starting to struggle in our own way, but we all knew as a unit that we would make it to the top no matter what. Making it to camp each afternoon was always cause for celebration, and even though we spent about half of each day sitting around at our campsite, we never had any trouble filling the time. End of day 4, me and Lockie have just got into the tent after a fun-filled afternoon here at, what's the camp called? Barranco. My body seems to be adapting to the altitude, which is really good. The headaches are passing, and yeah, we had a wicked time at camp this Zara with some of our guides and porters playing frisbee, bit of a dance party, some card games in the mess hall as well, with some good feeds. So pretty stoked. Couple days left till we reach Kili. We've been getting some pretty hectic views of the summit.
Sunrise tomorrow is going to be amazing.
Sunrise tomorrow should be sick. But yeah, we'll see you then tomorrow. Let's do it. just leaving camp on the morning of day 5. We're leaving a bit earlier this morning because there could be some rain this arvo, so we're hoping to get into our next camp before midday. Got a pretty good view of Kili there, and we're climbing up this big wall this morning, so it should be a fun hiking day. Day 5!
Day 5 is the way. Woohoo!
The Barranco wall climb was our first real technical challenge on the Lamosho route so far. Most of the trail up until this point had been relatively straightforward. The climb up was steep and rocky, but we managed it without too much trouble. The view from the top was one of the highlights of our entire trek, with seas of clouds covering the plains of Tanzania below.
Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata. Tembe pole pole, hakuna matata. Tunaenda Bosho, hakuna matata. Tunafika Uhuru, hakuna matata. Tunabeba viazi, hakuna matata. Hey!
Oh, nuggets.
There was a mixture of nervousness and excitement as we awoke on the morning of day 6. We would make our final push to the top of Kilimanjaro in less than 24 hours, and the summit had never looked so magnificent. Hirsch, what are your thoughts, mate? We're going to be up on Kili in about 24 hours.
Honestly, that doesn't feel real. However, definitely just massive excitement. But definitely there's a hint of nervousness there as well, because it's going to be one of the hardest days of my life, obviously, on the mountain.
Hirsch?
Pretty fucking keen. Got humbled by the mountain a bit yesterday, so just, taking it one step at a time. You got to respect the mountain, be out here, but woken up feeling fresh, feeling good, ready for it.
Feeling pretty pumped. I've been a 7 out of 10 for the past 4 days, so fairly consistent in terms of how I feel. So that mountain might humble me tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to it. So pretty pumped.
Deal.
Mate, had an absolute belter of a sleep. Best of the trip so far, so I'm feeling energized. Just punched a coffee, feeling on top of the world. Can't get any better.
Mate, the big fella right here is snoring his bloody head off all night long. Have not had a wink of sleep. Feeling very, very tired.
Super excited, can't wait to get to the top. Most excited about just trudging along in the snow all the way up there in the dark, getting to the top and watching the sunrise on the roof of Africa. Doesn't get any better.
Our 6th day on trail wasn't a long one, but we climbed to our highest campsite so far at almost 4,700 meters above sea level. I just finished day 6 of hiking, and it's a short day. Here's base camp just behind us here. We head for the summit tonight. We're literally waking up at midnight tonight and then climbing to Uhuru Peak. It'll take us 6 hours tonight. 12 o'clock start, get there for sunrise, but today was incredible. Look at this view, it's just ridiculous above the clouds, and we're pretty keen to have a feed after this little acclimatization hike and get as much rest as we can in before midnight tonight. After dinner, we set our alarms for 11:30 p.m. and prepared for our final push to Uhuru. We are off on day 7 at 12:30 a.m. for the summit push. Oh, thank you. You can probably just see up here, this is the ridge we're about to climb, and there's a bunch of groups already climbing up. There'll be lots of us at the summit today. It's cold and it's going to get a lot colder. Should be about a 6-hour push to the summit, and we're all really excited. And I think we're all feeling about as good as we possibly could be. We're going to make it to the top. Bloody guarantee it. Stop, boys. The first few hours of our summit push were tougher than we expected. Altitude sickness hit the entire group at around 5,000 metres above sea level. Fatigue, nausea and headaches continued to worsen as we neared Uhuru Peak.
5 a.m. Boys have been slogging for the last 4.5 hours, but we're close. We're very bloody close. 4.5 hours. Oh, come on.
The final hours of our climb were the hardest of the entire journey. Each step was a struggle and the entire group were fighting to make it to the summit. Stella Point would be our first major checkpoint on the climb, and we made it in just as the sun was rising.
We just made it to Stella Point, which is not the top of Kilimanjaro, but it is the second highest point. So we've been hiking for about 6 hours. Great spot for a sunrise view. Not gonna lie, man, I'm struggling. Definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. I think all the boys will probably say the same. Hasn't been an easy climb, but we're here and we're only about 45 minutes from the summit now, so we're gonna chill and then keep pushing on.
We stood in absolute awe of the view, knowing what it took for each of us to get here. At this point, Uhuru Peak was less than an hour away, and with the warmth of the sun and some encouraging words shared between the boys, we pushed onwards.
Made it to the summit, Uhuru. I feel terrible. I did it. The boys are here as well. I can't believe we did it.
Hakuna matata, hakuna matata.
Mount Kilimanjaro, what a week. The mountain was incredible and the views were spectacular, but it wouldn't have been the best adventure of my life without the boys. 7 of us started and 7 of us finished. Wouldn't have had it any other way. Thanks to Willibard and Zara Tours for getting us to the summit. If you're interested in climbing Kilimanjaro yourself, Zara Tours are offering my viewers a 5% discount on your booking. Check the description below for more information. We spent the next day descending the mountain, eating good food and celebrating a successful climb on our first of the 7 summits.
Yes, Zara.